All right. So we'll continue our conversation today about integration of information, right? So I'm going to give you a quick Med-C recap. And then what we really want to focus on is salespeople is one, I talked about this yesterday, is creating the gap. And then two, having your service fill the gap, right? Just remember this. The sole purpose of data and information is to be able to make future decisions off of it, right? So Med-C, motivations, expectations, disappointments, concerns. But the natural next step for all of us in this process is learning what to do with the information. So if you had to reintroduce, if I told you that my expectation was of an agent that had a great marketing plan, how would you reintroduce that concept to me? So throughout your pitch and presentation to a buyer, excuse me, today's buyer. So my expectation is an agent that could find me off-market opportunities. How would you use that as a frame so you're constantly reselling somebody back their specific need? Can anyone share? Okay, so we have lots of room for growth, right? So Sarah, go ahead.
So in finding off-market properties, I think I consistently touch on how I've done that in my career, how I'm currently doing that each day as part of my ritual of whether it's office time, my interaction with other agents, interaction with clients, interaction with other homeowners, conversations I'm having at restaurants. I think I'd go touching on that, like, oh, in a restaurant the other day, I talked to somebody about, potentially putting something together, where they're not having their home come to the market, but we can see if we've got a buyer. So just kind of touching on that.
So the shift goes from what I do to what I do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you talk about what you do, it's highlighting you.
Yep.
When you talk about what you do for them, it creates the experience in their mind of what they're going to get from you. Sarah always raises her hand and it's like, oh God, what did I get myself into?
But this one's good because I do so much off market. So I will absolutely shift that to what I do for you.
The other thing is you'll want to be able to highlight what percentage of your transactions you do off market. So let's do a quick recap on the Med-C, and then we're going to into more like advanced sales tactics, right? M stands for motivation. There's A and a B in motivation. A is what makes this the right time to make a move, right? So they're going to tell you about their trigger event. The M, the second one is what are you most excited about as a result of moving to wherever it is they're moving to, or just moving. Now, the first thing is you don't have to ask somebody. When you ask somebody why they're doing something based on their psychological makeup, it can trigger them. Right? If you ever met anyone with authority issues and you start talking about why are you doing this, they're getting like, it's going to set them off. I see Joyce is like, yep, exactly. So you're going to say, moving is probably one of the least exciting and fun things to do in the world. So what makes this the right time to make a move? They're going to share that information with you. So what are you most excited about happening as a result of the move? Now they're going to tell you the secondary benefit. So I'll give you an example. There's primary benefit, the reason they tell you that they're doing something. The secondary benefit is what they really want. So imagine you're Imagine you have a big conference coming. No, I'm not going to say that. Imagine you are a kid in college going to a spring break, right? And you're going to hire a personal trainer. You're going to ask the personal trainers and say, what's the purpose of this? Why do you want to do this? You're going to say, I'm going on spring break and I want to be in the best shape of my life. Okay, great. Like, here's how we can help you do that. The secondary benefit is the result of what they're going to get by being in good shape, right? Is it more confidence, the ability to meet more people? They can find somebody to date, whatever it is, right? It's like someone gets divorced and they're like, I'm just newly single, I want to get in good shape. The secondary thing is they want to feel confident. They want to be a certain type of physical appearance for dating and whatever it is. So primary benefit, secondary benefit, right? Oh my God, we have a whole screen full of people with their cameras on. I'm excited. Not that I have ADD or anything. So so when you ask someone, what are you most excited about as a result of moving? Again, you're creating the gap that you can close. Now, when we talk about how to reintroduce these things, what they're most excited about, what motivating can go very much into the needs analysis part, right? And then we'll get into how do you frame these conversations. The next part is, what are your expectations of an agent you partner with for the purchase of your home? Partner. They're going to tell you. And then there are two other parts that you'll want to touch on in this. What are your expectations around communication? And then here's the $1 million one, because we have all these private exclusives here that nobody else has and likely to sell, which are like seller leads, which you can market a buyer to, right? So the next part in this is, what are your expectations of an agent finding you off-market properties? Do you see how you're creating a gap here? Raise your hand if you see what we're doing. This is like behavioral psychology, ninja tactics by Chirag. Then the next one is, have you had any, in an effort to meet and exceed your expectations, it's important for us to understand what past disappointments you've had working with agents or any other service providers, so we can ensure that none of them are repeated during this process. Now, remember, past disappointments impact your present decisions. Those are like what I call hidden landmines. All of a sudden, something happens that doesn't seem like a thing, and a person just goes, they just blow up. It's because of their past. And then the last one is do you have any concerns? Like things that keep you up at night. And you start listing common things, right? Like there's the word like, there's strike one for me. Ums, ands, ahs, likes are all filler words. And as a professional speaker, I try not to say any of them, but for some reason this week I've been on a roll. So for the concerns, interest rates, low inventory, timing, these are all the hidden objections that come up when it's actually a time to make a buying decision. Make sense? And then in the end, you'll be able to repeat them back to them when you've practiced this over and over and over again. These are your motivate. This is what makes it the right time to make a move. This is what you're most excited about a result. These are your expectations for a partner, an agent you partner with for the sale of your home. These are your expectations on communications. These are your expectations on off-market properties. These are essentially the disappointments you want to avoid. And these are the concerns and things that really keep you up at night. Did I listen and hear everything you said correctly? And is there anything else you feel is important to share? Done. Andrea.
Could you repeat, please, the way you worded the disappointments question?
Yes. In an effort to meet and exceed your expectations, it is important for us to understand what past disappointments you've had with any agents or service providers, so we ensure none of them are repeated during this process.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any questions about the Med-C? By the way, when you practice this, use a stopwatch, and you should be able to get through this entire Med-C in 5 minutes or less. If it's more than 5 minutes, you, the agent, are talking too much. Like people that are good get this around like 3 minutes and 45 seconds to 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
So Chirag, at the end, I have here, I want to make sure I listened and heard everything that you said in your words correctly. And that's what I said. And then repeat it back and then say, is there anything else you want to add?
That you feel important to share.
That was.
Listen, if you follow the script verbatim, by the way, once you do this, and especially when you're able to get to like level 2, strike 2, level 2 of repeating it back, it is your deal to lose. Nobody's creating this experience for somebody. And we know that when you're able to use things with finance people, hedge fund people, introverted people, and really New York City, if it works in New York City, we know this from working at corporate companies. If it's proof of concept in New York City, it works in every market in the country. All of them. I can tell you this as a former employee. That is where they beta test everything. There's no MLSs. It's a higher luxury price point. New Yorkers are generally very curt, direct. All right, so now, how do we take this to the next level? Like, we have all this information, Chirag. This is great, but what the hell do we do with it? Now, the next place. So when you go through the needs analysis, in a buyer consultation, you go through the needs analysis, you frame the conversation as, we believe a home is where you build memories, a community is where your life happens. And ideally, we want to understand what your perfect or ideal lifestyle in, I don't know, let me see who was the thing, in Tampa will be, or Denver, or Danville, or wine country. That's the original frame. They're going to say, great, right? And you're going to say, you had shared what you were most excited about, or what made this the right time to make a move, right? Interchangeably, was this. Now, would it be okay? Like, you need to all master those words. Would it be okay? Would it be okay if I asked you a few really important questions so that we can essentially narrow down what your ideal lifestyle in blank will be? They're going to say, perfect. You had said one of the things that you were most excited about as a result of moving was blank. Tell me more about that. Right? So somebody give me an example, anybody, just an example of a reason they'd be excited about moving somewhere. Like, what would they be excited about as a result of? Give me any answer and I'm going to strike through.
Closer to family.
Closer to family. Perfect. All right, I'll do closer to family and lifestyle, right? So I would say, who said closer to family?
I did.
Jody. Perfect. So Jody, I would say, you had shared one of the things that you were most excited about was being closer to family. Tell me, when you say closer to family, what does that mean to you?
It means that my daughter will grow up with her grandparents being able to go to her events, but really and truly, I need to be at least 1 mile from their house.
Perfect. So it's having your parents essentially be part of your daughter's entire experience growing up, and you want to be 1 mile from their house. Perfect. What is their address?
4770 SYZ Street.
Perfect. Now, let me pull this up. And during the next portion of this, we really want to identify what is the ideal home that you want to build your family's memories in. And then the next part is we want to talk about how your family experiences a community. And as a result of that, we're essentially creating a set of filters that we put every home through before we even send it to you. Do you think that would be helpful?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So the first filter we've identified has to be 1 mile from the address you had shared. So now tell me a little bit more about, a home is more than bedrooms and bathrooms, right? Like, of course, we have a certain amount of bedrooms that we must have, a certain amount of bathrooms we must have. But what we want to get into to really understand is, how do you guys live in a home? Inside, outside, what's important to you? What type of experiences you see yourself having? And then we can get into the bedrooms and bathrooms and more of the semantics.
Well, obviously, you can probably hear the dog barking in the background, so a good backyard is key. We really like their neighborhood and that area around them. Ultimately, we're kind of inside out. We don't need a pool, but a good back patio would be nice. Decent sized lot. I mean, pretty standard home. We do not want anything that is stucco.
Got it. So tell me, when you say a standard home, like, forgive me for asking, but what specifically does that mean to you? Because I don't want to leave it up to my own interpretation, because after all, it's your home.
What I picture as being standard, at least where we live now, is brick, stone, wood floors. Carpet in the bedrooms is okay. We'd prefer solid surfaces. But overall standard is, I guess more of a traditional type, not necessarily super contemporary or modern. Definitely probably not over 10 years old.
Got it. So we want to make sure that, Jody, it's your standards, right? So stucco, brick, ideally hard surfaces in all the bedrooms. You mentioned a patio, a yard for your dog. So let me ask you, Are you the type of family that entertains a lot?
Yes.
Perfect. So looking at the kitchen and the access to the backyard and seating space and those kinds of things, I would imagine play an important factor in choosing a home.
Absolutely.
Do you see what I'm doing here? Does anybody? I'm adding value and filling the gap. You can do the same thing with the weather. Then I can go to the community. What type of experiences you have in the community? Are there any areas that are close to you? Do you want to be walkable? Do you want this? Do you want that? And then literally at the end of it, I'm going to repeat back. So I want to make sure again that I heard and listened to everything you said correctly. For a home, it's these 7 things, which are the home filters, these things in a community. And what we're going to do is now we'll introduce collections, right? And then I will shift and say, would it be okay, again, if I was able to show you how we collaborate your search in one place so nothing gets lost through phone, email, text message, and multi-platform communication? She's going to say yes. So I've done a pull up the collection. I've done a search. So now, so you get an idea of what it's like of us partnering together. I would take every one of these homes, I would look at them in your filters, and based on that, I'd give you comments, right? If something met most of them, but not all of them, I would highlight like this meets most of the things. Here, the couple that it does not meet. If it's a deal breaker, we don't need to do and remove it from the collection. This is what's called the ownership experience, right? Because we're all like, oh, we have to demonstrate value. Of course, it's by showing them what you're going to do, right? Show me, don't tell me. Because you have to pick properties for people. So now, does anyone want to know a nice, slick way of telling them that they can still search on their own and it doesn't diminish your value? How would somebody address that today? Let me get a couple of answers.
I want to empower you, or you're also empowered or something.
So I would say that's one, empowering you. Well, they're already empowered. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There are all these different portals that have invested hundreds of millions of dollars. Anybody else?
I want to partner with you so that we're seeing the same things together. And I can help you with insight that I have locally that you may or may not have.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Well, we have the perfect technology to help you see everything all in one place. That includes off-market properties as well as whatever is publicly listed in our Compass platform. And
Okay.
I think it's so valuable that we get them on that platform with collections and we can provide that.
So
Then,
that's what you want, right? Like what
no, I
you
think
want.
what would be the benefit to you is that you don't have to look at 5 different areas.
Ready? Hold on a
Yeah.
second, not to cut you short, right? Just remember this. I'm going to re-ask the question again and want you. So this is listening to listen versus listening to respond, right? You heard my thing and you're like, I asked you for a response. You start thinking of a response. I'm going to say the question again. What do we say to a buyer to make it okay that they continue looking on their own and it does not diminish our value?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. Well, nothing is stopping them. If they find something
Exactly.
of,
So what you
yeah,
don't want them to do is be like, okay, great, you can do all these things for me, but I'm gonna still find my own property. Why do I need you? So I see Roger. This is a good
yeah.
thing for us to think through. Roger and then Christine.
Yeah, I was just going to say, well, if you happen to see something that sparks your attention, please share it with me and we can talk about it together.
Okay, that's another way. Christine?
I feel like a lot of people search Zillow on their phone. So I've said, if you see anything that interests you, go ahead and text it to me and I'm happy to add it to the collection. Just so they know, they can reach out to me anytime and I'll go ahead and add it.
Okay, that's a solution. So do you want to know my answer?
Always.
Remember, we're talking about reintroducing information from the Med C, right? You're going to say you had shared that, some of the things that I do know about you is that this is motivating to move. This is your expectation. These are what you're excited about. You know, these are your expectations of a home and a community, and your past disappointments are on this. But the reality is we've spent an hour together, and this is what I know about you. There's no way that as a person, I could account for every life experience you have. And that when you do see a property, that it might create a memory, a connection, and something that is completely out of anything we talked about. So it's 100%. We always encourage people to look on their own, because you don't know what's going to be that trigger event that might create a new opportunity for you. So essentially, if you find that new opportunity, whether it's on another platform, on our platform, you can just send it over, and I'm going to put it through those 10 or 14 filters and be able to give you that same information that you said that was helpful to you. And we could just continue to collaborate. Would that be okay? See, what we want to do is have this make sense to them. I could be crazy, and we never can discount that fact. But to me, that completely makes sense, right? The script is on my autopilot, or let's see, who is an autopilot here? Tammy's autopilot, Wendy's autopilot, Jordan's autopilot. Show up with an autopilot and you'll have all the scripts. We have one here somewhere. I can't find it, but in general, this is how you make sense of it. Right now, let's get to the next phase of talking about off-market properties. I would say, where'd she go? Jody, since you're my buddy today. Jody, you had mentioned your expectation of an agent was finding off-market properties, correct? Can I share with you 3 different ways that we can do that to help support your goals in moving closer to your parents?
Absolutely.
You notice, you see how I tied it back to her motivation again? I'm going to say, well, there's 3 distinct things about working at a $1 billion technology company that can help create new opportunities for you. If it's okay, I'd like to walk you through all 3 of them, and feel free to ask any questions, or if you would like additional context.
Sure.
Wait, did I just freeze?
You did for a second. Your eyebrows are frozen in consternation, it looks like.
Serious Botox.
Serious Botox. Up. Where'd he go? He's back.
He'll come back.
I'm back. All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know, Amy, what's going on with the internet in Westport, but
I don't know.
this
I'm
is
in
my
Fairfield.
having a coaching business. One bad internet connection from going clientless. All right, so we want to introduce 3 things. The first thing that we want to share with you is this way, is framing it. Part of being part of a $1 billion technology company and a true luxury brand is a unique opportunity it creates for our clients. The first one I want to share with you is private exclusives. Essentially, we have an entire database full of properties that are not on the market that we can share with you. How do you think that will impact your ability in finding a home? I'm going to let her now sell me on the benefits. The second one I'd like to show you is we have an AI algorithm, because we have hundreds of data engineers, that helps identify homes that have a high probability of selling. So I have this, as well as my 30,000 colleagues have this. So we're able to source different opportunities for you from people who have not even considered selling their homes, but for the right buyer, potentially could make a move. And the third one is 1 out of every almost 7 homes that are transacted are directly a referral from one campus agent to another. Why is that important to you? Is I'll be able to reach out to my colleagues in the area as well to see what properties they have access to that essentially are not on the market, that may not be a private exclusive, but the owners have quietly raised their hand and said they're interested in looking at buyers. Those are 3 different ways that we're able to create opportunities for you in the market that don't exist anywhere else. Sounds good, right?
That's really good.
But that's what you all have. So you see how we keep reintroducing the fact of what they want back into it and then how our service benefits it. So at the end of it, I can just recap. You had shared these things with us, and let me know if there's anything I said or I didn't say throughout this process, which will stop you from moving forward, as we've clearly agreed upon that, as you've clearly agreed upon that this is the perfect process that really meets your needs. It's a good closing question. Is there anything I said or did not say today that would cause you not to want to partner with me? That's like a real closing question. And if it doesn't fit your personality, don't use it. Look, if you do the presentation the right way, you go through the Med C, you continuously reintroduce a concept. It's not about what you do, it's about what you do for them, right? In the context of those 4 pillars, people are going to want to buy your service versus you feeling like you have to sell it. And then if they start negotiating the commission, it's a simple answer, whatever you choose to do, I support you 100%. This is the way that I partner with clients. This is the investment of my service. If it's right for you, I'm happy to move forward. If it's not right for you and you want to take the risk of missing out on these opportunities and some of the other things that you had highlighted that you really liked, and I would be able to repeat them back to them, that's your choice too, and I support you in that decision. I want you to do what's best for you, that's going to help you, move to Florida and move closer to your parents and really have them experience your kid's life in the most thoughtful and productive way. There's the big close, everybody. Leslie.
In terms of order of operations, where does this fit in terms of sending somebody a questionnaire in advance of meeting where you get some of their criteria, and also the whole process, right? Because if you've got somebody, especially who's a first-time buyer or is moving from another state where things might have worked differently, and because I find that, I start with that a lot, and then you just get so bogged down in it, about, am I going to be able to have a home inspection, and what does it mean to not have a home inspection, and all that stuff.
So I would go through the Med C process, right? And then from there, I would say when we meet, we can I'll write these questions down and we'll discuss them all in detail. A lot of them will be covered in our conversation, but it's important, I would say, Leslie, that we follow this process, as we know that based on this process is how we're able to get the results that we've gotten for our clients.
So what you're describing now, what I'll call these 4 steps that you've gone through today that have more steps underneath of them, that's happening in a phone conversation or a Zoom call or something?
Yeah, the Med C the Med C takes 5 minutes. You could do it in a phone conversation. If you're unable to get them, I would start the meeting with it. Med C motivates. It's how you pre-qualify every client to understand what they want. Med C stands for motivations, expectations, disappointments, and concerns. They're the 4 main drivers of human behavior. And on that note, it is 12:01 with love of my heart. I love you all. We need to keep talking about this more, and everyone needs to practice. This is it. Showtime's in like 80 days.
Thank you.
You have 80 days. You're welcome. You have 80 days to master this process. So love in my heart. I love you all. I'll see you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.